Hello and welcome everyone to episode 14 of our podcast. In this episode, we will discuss how Vyry is different from social media and games. I'm with Tommaso Di Bartolo, the founder and CEO of Phygital, the startup laying the founding blocks of spatial experience. How's it going, Tommaso?
Romeo, I feel like the essence of a startup. Some highs, some pivots, but overall always up and to the right. How are you, Romeo?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. So, how was your last week? You went to San Francisco, met the team?
I was in San Francisco. This is correct. Yes, and we did actually an in-person meeting,
Mhm.
which being in San Francisco and then meeting the team is something that it doesn't happen so often because we are a decentralized and remote company first. So even though I live in San Francisco and we decide to meet, then we make it a point to fly in quite some folks, and it was it's really non-replaceable, Romeo. When you meet in person, things and magic happens. Besides the fact, as an Italian, we always wrap up with good food, so it's always a joy.
That's amazing. Yeah. IRL is non-replaceable. That's basically the point of phygital, right? Merging
It
the
is
physical and digital.
physical and the best of both worlds in one. Absolutely, yes. What are we going to
Yeah.
talk today about there, Romeo?
Okay, yeah. So let's start with this. I want you to clarify. So at
Mhm.
Viri, we ask the question, we ask basically people to ask this question to themselves that are you ever digitally social or just consuming media on social media? So can you explain why we want our co-conspirators and early joiners to ask this question?
Um, Phenomenal questions, by the way. Thank you for bringing this part up. So first of all, I think that humanity does not allow to question the status quo. And you ask
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
actually, why are we encouraging our early adopters to ask themselves? Because we want to provoke this reflection and say, hey, you know what? Why don't you allow yourself to think beyond the limits, right? And this is truly actually, the strategy of what's called paradigm blindness, meaning you have accepted the status quo, meaning social media, the game industry, and you live within. So you basically
Hmm.
don't allow yourself to ask or reflect what if questions, right? And
Yeah.
within the industry of social media, we provoke and we encourage and we actually provide the freedom for all the conspirators to say, what if you have actually never been digitally social, right? And it means, first of all, yes, try it out to think that way, and then what does it provoke? How do you feel about this question, right? How do you feel about the thought of maybe you have never been digitally social, or have you just accepted the limitation and the boundaries of the existing solution? As a matter of fact, that's what we do, right? So we use something, regardless what kind of product. In this specific example, it's social media, and it has a certain value proposition, which is called social media as a category, right? And we have been loving it the last 25 years, right? And because it has the word social, we have been eluded or made us believe that it is social, but actually it became media. Well, Thomas, what does it mean? Well, because we are actually just to look at media that is user-generated content, right? And what we
Yeah.
actually don't do is the act of being social, right? So the last thing we do is actually to truly building social networks or socialization efforts or fostering community, right? So it became basically this media endeavor, right? And everyone is looking at the ones who are influencers or the ones who want to become influencers. They have content. It's a different way of being media, a media approach, right? And that is then merged and fused with the advertisement industry, right? Over 90% of the revenues of this category is still generating revenue through online ads, right? And so what are online ads, right? It's media, right? It is pushed towards the consumer, right? So in other form, it's truly the story with the wolf and the sheep, that the wolf was covered, with a sheep coverage, right? And then appeared within the sheep herd, and then it started eating it. And I think that is kind of a very exaggerated way of putting it, right? Because nobody's eating anyone, luckily, right? But right, it's called social media, but it's
Yeah.
actually tanned and covered, right? And saying,
Mhm.
hey, I'm not really social. And therefore, we believe that with the inflection points that we are seeing, not just from a technological perspective, but also from a behavioral perspective. We are ripe at the time, or right for a moment of reflecting from the bottom up on how to be digitally social, right? And by the way, this is not trying to sell something, not trying to convince anybody, right? We have been having so many conversations, right? And the more you have these conversations, the more you sit down, the more people allow themselves, we're going back to your question, to ask, holy, wait a second, this is right. I've never truly thought of, is this really social, or is this actually limiting the way that I've been digitally social, right? And so there is then starts this craving starts becoming louder and louder in so far that, yeah, we are missing something. We want to combine the best of both worlds, of the social and real life, but how about making it also combining it with social activity? And then the question is, how does it look? And that's when we introduce, obviously, spatial experience. Over to you, Romeo. Excellent question.
Right, right, right. Now that makes a ton of sense. Okay, so we have established the fact that social media is inherently not social. So now the question is, what solution does Vyry provide, and is Vyry another kind of social media? And obviously, the answer is it's not. Now, can you please define how Vyry is different from social media platforms and how Vyry is different from games?
Oh wow, these are two huge pillars. Yeah, I like to say that, we are definitely laying the fundaments for what is called spatial experience, right? And we say that spatial experience is not social media but social. Three, two, one.
Yeah.
And it's not a game but playful. Oh,
Hmm.
right. Okay. And then last but not least, it's immersive but not screen centric. And these are the three ingredients that define spatial experience. Now, why is spatial experience different, and how actually is spatial experience different than social media? And I have a series here of breakdown. So first of all, social media, as I was saying before, we need to agree it's media, and it's not social at its core, right? So that's the
Yeah.
core different. And spatial experience is built more for collaborative activities rather than individualistic activities. So what does it mean individualistic? Well, on social media, you like, you comment, you share, right? And so you are always at the center of all this, right? In spatial experiences, you're basically having a collaborative effort with others. And by having this collaborative effort with others, you are basically building this physical digital dimension or narrative of story. So you become a co-creator of it rather than aiming to become an influencer. Again, you stand at the center of all this, right? And somebody is looking at you, and usually it leads to vanity. When you are a co-creator, it actually leads to a more altruistic feeling. And so the underlying essence of what you are in spatial experience, the role of what you embody is a more genuine, is a more, I would say, beautiful, a more loving, right? And something that is needed in this world, right? Because again, social isolation is a reality. Anxiety and depression are consequences of social isolation. So having things where you become a co-creator of your narrative and collaborating with others truly shapes behavior. And maybe also, social media, let's face it, Romeo, how old is it? 20 plus years, 25 maybe, right? It was built for millennials, and now actually baby boomers, right? And it was not built for the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and maybe also Gen Beta, who just were born now at the beginning of 2025. So it's a different generation with evolved needs, with shape needs, right? That are actually also being confronted with this technology evolution and change of, at the center is AI, at the center is quantum computing that expedite the elaboration of data. It's spatial. In the near future, blockchain more and more become part of those environments, right? So we are at this huge inflection point where believing that spatial experience is a linear evolution of social media just because it's fostering community, it's simply wrong, right? The other thing that I truly like a lot is that, social media was built and it is two-dimensional, period. It's flat. You swipe. That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So spatial experience is for 3D and 4D. I mean, it's immersiveness, And maybe the fourth dimension is actually also the interactivity of the three-dimensionality. So if you have an asset that is three-dimensional, imagine that this three-dimensional asset is now also interactive, right? And that's the 4D component. And that is built exactly for that specific use case, right? And by doing so, and this is maybe one of the tip of the icebergs, really of the highlight, right? Because in 2D you swipe, in 3D you experience. Oh wow, okay, that's that, okay. And because
Yeah,
you are
that's deep.
swiping, you read or watch. All right, yeah, that makes sense. And because you are experiencing, you are feeling. Boom. That is huge, right? So that's the reason why I believe that Web3 is not, read, write, own, like so many are saying in the market. But what truly matters to the next generation, right? In Web1, it was read, yes, write, yes, but it's feel, what Web3 defines.
Nice.
Multisensorial immersion. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I touch, right? What is around me, right? And then evokes and provokes basically your feelings across all your senses, multisensorial immersion, right? And that also leads to the last thing, right? That Web2, from a business model perspective, right? You had advertisement, which is still the case, right? And spatial experiences. You have what I've coined in my last book, Navigating the Metaverse, the term JVC, which is joint value creation. So you don't become, you are not sold to, but because you're a creator, you collaborate with, regardless if you collaborate with another peer or with a brand or with a developer, and everyone benefits equally from that, right? That's on the social media side of things.
Yeah, yeah. Got it. So what about the gaming side?
And on the gaming side of things, maybe here a couple of things that stand out. I think that gaming is evolving into entertainment. Gaming is growing. Gaming is amazing. Gaming is fun. But with the new technology, gaming is taking also on its own a new shape, a new format, and it's truly moving into becoming more of I watch, I am there, but it entertains a lot, right? Even mixing gaming and the future of the industry, of the movie industry, I think comes very close, right? Why do I see that spatial experience is not gaming? So first of all, gaming industry is for gamers. One of the researches that we have is we ask 3 questions to students. We say, do you play like games? Most of them say yes, like over 80%. Then we ask them, do you categorize yourself as a gamer? No, just 20%.
The number comes down. Yes.
I said, wait a second, what did you say? I asked you, I said, yeah, I don't categorize myself as a gamer. And then we learned to add a third question, which is, but do you like playful experiences? Do you see the difference? And everyone goes up again, like 90% yes. Right? There is a difference of who categorizes themselves as a gamer. When you are a gamer, your intentionality is totally different as an engine. What is the intention? First of all, you prepare to play in a very conscious way. You want your hardware, your keyboards, your mouse, your headset, right? Then you start maybe calling your friends and say, hey, I'm online, right? So you prepare yourself, and you also prepare yourself to dedicate time. So your intention is totally different. When you talk about playfulness happens to you. Playfulness is something that you were not expecting, right? But it feels good. It has a great experience, right? In gaming, you have this mentality of who wins, who loses, right? You are very competitive, right? In spatial experience, you have open world journeys. There is no beginning and no end. And because there is no beginning and no end, but the Canva is actually your real world. So you are not on a screen, on a URL, or on a device, right? It's screenless, by the way. Soon it's going to be screenless. You're building it with that in mind, right? Because we're starting also out on mobile devices, but you're building it with screenless in mind nowadays. We are in this transition phase, right? The world becomes your Canva. So IRL becomes your Canva and not URL. Right? Because right now when we say immersiveness, it could be basically put into 2 dimensions. Immersive equal, I have a 3D world on a specific URL, regardless if access through a mobile phone or a web browser, right? and a desktop, or I be immersive in the real world, right? So that these are the two big contrasts, right? One other thing is that most of the games are hard coded. Even though you have AI,
Yeah.
gaming mechanics and reward mechanism at hoc, right? This we won't be seeing this for a very long time, because in order to build these in a very result and successful way, this takes really consciousness, intelligence. I mean, artificial intelligence that goes beyond what we have, and therefore the story of the game is predefined. This is a fighting game. This is a competition game. This is a strategic
Yeah.
game, right? So in spatial experience, it's your life. There is no
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
It's an open world, and whatever you bring into this open world, right? Your real world asset into physical assets, right? You are on campus and you digitalize your camp. This is your life, so it's highly contextual and highly bespoke to where you are, what you bring in, and therefore you are building your narrative, right? And it goes back again, when you build your narrative, right? It's all about you doing things with others, because it's an open world, right? It's not you own the world. I come. No, it's you do things with others. When you do things with others, you have more of this mentality of, I am an altruistic person. I'm bringing something from the physical into the digital world. And how can we make that physical digital world less competitive, more interdependent? And when you have interdependency, which I think that this is phenomenally important for the current generation, right? You are more caring, you're more beloved. And that is the essence of this generation. The generation cares generally about each other, but they haven't had venues really to do something, right? So in short, you go to games because you maybe are bored, you want to kill some time, right? And you live your life in spatial experiences because you want to live your life playfully. Wow. Okay, you live your life because you want to live your life playfully. Wow. All right. So I think that we will get soon to a point, Romeo, where we'll be saying this. Okay, this is my life today without smart glasses, right? And it looks pretty static. One.
Yeah.
It looks equally for everyone. Two. And then you start questioning, why should it be looking equally for everyone? What if I feel today, or am today, or am at that location today? Why should I see the same what Romeo is seeing? Well, because there are physical limitations. Okay, but what if not?
Yeah,
Introducing
exactly.
experience, right? Yeah, that's how I look
That's
into
where
it.
the bespoke part comes in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So spatial experiences at Phygital, we are in our product one, which is called Vyry. It's a mobile application, iOS and Android available. You see here the download link. Exclusively right now available to students on campus, for them to foster community, right? And so building this physical digital dimension for them to collaborate, to be creative, and to build this cross dimension on campus, right? Yeah, that's how we're looking at things.
That is amazing. Yes, right. So version 03 is coming out, right? We are very soon.
Yes.
We are approaching version 03, and this will basically allow all the early users to be able to basically create these XVTs in a much more uh, in a much better way than that they were able to before. And with version 04, hopefully we'll be able to see questing on platforms, right?
In 03, we have quests. In 02, all right, so you are able of doing the digital graffitis right now. And
Mhm.
04, 003 is the quests, which is about to be deployed and handpicked to specific and more collaborative users that really understand and see the vision, and become these what I call the co-conspirators of this early adopter phase, right? 04 and 05 will be all about the new design that is
Yeah.
already closed scope and being implemented. So very exciting things to come. And then I don't even mention what we are doing for mid of the year, maybe down the road, a couple of episodes or months down the road, we can
That is
start
exciting.
sharing
Yes.
some core IP that we are developing as we speak.
That is fascinating. Yeah, I'm excited for the thousands of students who will be able to basically access the version 03, and then hopefully the version 04. No, some exciting stuff is happening, and I hope all the co-conspirators are really enjoying this moment right now. As always, thank you for your time, Tommaso. See you in the free world.
I'll see you in the very world. Sign up, guys. And why don't you allow yourself to ask if you have been ever digitally social? So give it a try. Vyry.world if you are a student and you want to transform your environment into a playful environment. All right. Let's see you around the
Amazing. Yeah.
Roma as
See you.
always.